Hi, Brandon Davis with Davis CPA Group. So I've put out some videos already in regards to disaster financing and disaster planning and things of that nature. I want to talk specifically today, or in this video, about COVID-19's impact with certain plans or certain incentives that the government's put out there to kind of help small business and help employees and help employers. One of the things that's out there right now is different tax credit incentives and expanded FMLA leave and also some sick leave requirements to be paid out if you hit certain criteria from the standpoint of having an employee that's basically been directly impacted by COVID-19. What that means is if you have unemployment and they are forced to be in quarantine, they contract COVID-19, they're at home taking care of someone with COVID-19, and you don't currently have a sick leave plan in place where you would pay them to be out, or even if you do and they're out for this reason, there is some tax credits available to help offset some of the payroll tax costs or the cost of having that employee take that leave. The incentive, the main part of that though, was to basically be a safety net for the employee to make sure they have that coverage, because a lot of small businesses don't necessarily have a sick time or a sick leave policy in place. This forces you under certain criteria to be able to, or you might have to, make that 2-week payment to the employee for sick leave, but there is some credit available. I don't want to dive into that too deep because there's a lot of in my opinion, very specific fact patterns that work into that. So you may, while your knee jerk may be like, gosh, all my employees are going to call in sick and I'm forced to pay them. Not necessarily. So when you look at that, make sure that fact pattern applies to your business. There is one thing though that I did want to comment on more than that particular one. It has to do with the employee retention credit that's out there on payroll taxes. What that is, that's basically a specific credit for employers who maintain their employment but do see a 50% more drop in their business performance or their revenues primarily from the same quarter in the previous year. So for example, we just started Q2 of 2020. If once you get through Q2 of 2020, you're anticipating that your performance is going to be 50% less than Q2 of 2019, but you've maintained your employees, you will be able to take advantage of a tax credit up to, I believe, it's $10,000 in wages towards an employee's wages against your payroll taxes that you'd pay on your Form 941. You can get that credit in advance by basically short paying your payroll taxes. Now, I can't believe those words came out of my mouth, because not paying your payroll taxes or short paying your payroll taxes, in my opinion, is one of the worst things you can do for your business. Unfortunately, I see that too many times in my line of work where employers have severe cash flow issues and they don't pay their payroll taxes that they're withholding from people's checks. The IRS really hammers people on that. I've worked through some cases where I've got people back to where they need to be, but that's a slippery slope. I'm going on a side rail here just for a second, so just humor me and follow me. Because it's very important that if you run into cash flow issues, you want to pay your payroll taxes before you pay your banker. And so just keep that in mind, particularly in this situation where we're all seeing a downturn in cash flow, a downturn in issues. Right now, we're all getting more grace than we normally would from all of our vendors and all of our creditors, even the government. But don't let that be a practice you ever fall into. Coming back around to that though, you can short pay your payroll taxes in advance of anticipating this credit, but I would work very closely with your CPA, your payroll company, or your tax advisor to make sure you do that analysis, you do understand where you're going to land from a payroll tax perspective, and you properly implement that strategy before you just say, oh, I'm not paying my payroll taxes. I had one client email me and say, hey, I heard I can only pay my payroll taxes for this payroll, so I don't want to pay those. And I said, whoa, hold up. That's not true. Pay your payroll taxes. But there are some incentives out there that allow us to maybe take some advantage of some credits and things of that nature to ease the burden as we kind of work through this unprecedented time together.